following is a presentation of DangerZone Productions.
Dennis the Menace was a popular newspaper comic that actually went on to have its own TV series, not once, but frickin' twice. So naturally, due to the character's growing popularity, I guess, some pencil pusher at Warner Brothers thought, hey, we can make some money off this too. Let's make a movie out of it. The movie actually was not bad, as far as children's movies go. But of course, the initial backlash from this was, since a movie was so popular, a video game about the movie was inevitable. And thus, we were given Dennis the Menace on the Super Nintendo. Hello ladies and germs, I'm Danny South, and you've just entered the Danger Zone. The Dennis the Menace video game was one of those games that you either rented on the weekends, or if you were like me, you actually owned the game. It's one of those games that just kind of, it has a way of embroidering itself on the inside of your skull. It's one of those games that you can't shake the memory of, It's one of those games that almost molds your childhood as a child gamer. Or, if you're like me, it's one of those games that haunts your childhood memories as one of those games that was so simplistic in design that you're wondering why the f*** you never beat the thing in the first place. And yes, I never did actually beat the game when I was a kid. Come to think of it, I don't think I ever even got past level 4. But to be fair, I didn't have the awesome gaming skills that I now have as an adult, so my sucky skills from the past to the side, we're here to focus on the game itself. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with exactly who Dennis the Menace is, and maybe a select few of you who don't really care, I'm going to check it over to Channel Zero's own comic strip expert, the comic strip critic. Take it away, man.
Glad I can help. There are actually two different Dennis the Menace comics, and they both coincidentally happened to first appear in newspaper strips in March of 1951. There's one from the United Kingdom, but the one you're talking about is the American one made by Hank Ketchum, who I think might be related to Ash. I'm not sure about that. Anyways, the main characters include Dennis, obviously, his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, and Margaret. Dennis actually got to be so big that he was the mascot for Dairy Queen from 1971 to 2001. So yeah, for a long while there, he was a big deal.
Can you get in? Got it. Good.
Let's get on to the game. The first level is, well, of course, Mr. Wilson's house. The objective of each level is to collect, I think, 5 coins before you can progress to the next level. And the first thing you're going to notice as far as the first level goes is something is very wrong with Mr. Wilson's house. I mean, look at this place. There's freaking cups jumping all over the place, cats everywhere. What is Mrs. Wilson, the local cat lady? Mice, bowling balls. It could just be me, but I think the Wilsons might have a freaking poltergeist in here.
Oh, hell no.
Malcolm, what are you doing?
There's a ghost in the house. I'm out.
You can't leave.
You watch me. Deuces.
However, you do have some weapons at your disposal to combat the minions of the devil. One being Dennis's trademark slingshot, which does some pretty good damage, but sucks as far as range goes. It's got this really annoying arcing thing that it does when you fire it, so yeah, don't end up using that for very much. There's also a water gun, but God help me if I've ever been able to figure out if it does anything other than slow them down for a little bit. The one weapon you'll probably end up using through the majority of the game is the spitball thing. It goes straight and actually does the most damage out of all 3 weapons. You'll get it pretty quickly. In fact, you'll get it in the very first level if you just go downstairs. As far as the animation for the game goes, it's pretty good for an NES game. Although, if I had to nitpick, I would say that most of the time the characters in the game seem to resemble characters from the comic strip rather than characters from the actual movie. Except in certain aspects of the game. For instance, if you go upstairs in the very first level, you'll actually be chased by Walter Mateo. How cool is that? And Dennis, if you look closely, does actually look more like the comic book version of Dennis rather than the movie Dennis. This does change, and he does actually resemble the young actor Mason Gamble when you win a level, but that's about the only time he actually resembles the actor. I really hate to be this guy, but another thing I have to nitpick on is the stupid sound effect that is made every time you take damage from something. I mean, listen to this. What kind of noise is that for a kid to make? Did his balls drop when he got hit? He sounds more like the freaking butler from Tomb Raider 2 following you around. And Lord knows that was creepy enough. Whatever. The next couple of levels take place in the park. And apparently everything in the park wants Dennis Mitchell dead. I don't know what he did to piss these animals off, but they're out for blood. But really, when you look at them, they look more like he's being attacked by cereal mascots. I mean, look at these things. Really look at them. You got Diggums the Frog, the Nesquik Bunny, and what looks like a bird from the Flintstones. After you survive Attack of the Mascots, you finally make it to the first boss of the game, this ugly named Betty Sue. Betty Sue? Betty Sue? I don't remember any Betty Sue from the movie. Hey Critic, has Dennis the Menace ever had any beef with this horse-faced offspring of Sarah Jessica Parker?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't have access to all 50 plus years of Dennis the Menace comics and TV shows and everything else here with me, and I can't find any reference to a Betty Sue from any of my usual sources, so yeah, I'm gonna say that this is a original character made just for the game.
Well, that's dumb. Why would you throw a random character like that into this game when you're obviously trying to make it be based on the movie? Wouldn't it have made more sense to make Margaret the boss at this level instead of this thing? Once you get past her, the next 3 levels take place in the boiler room. Again, something else I don't remember from the movies. Whatever. You get past them and then you get to another boss fight, which is against the gym teacher. For some reason. The gym teacher? Has he ever...
Well, Dennis gets in trouble with the teacher like once every other month nowadays. So maybe he got in trouble with his coach once every other blue moon? I couldn't find any information about him either, so I guess he's an original character made just for the game too.
Why do they keep using these meaningless throwaway villains? It doesn't happen in the movie. Oh. I need some aspirin. We'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Okay. So the next couple of levels is... oh, God. Because no game is complete without it. A f***ing sewer level. Good God. This wasn't in the movie. And it doesn't even really look like a sewer. It looks more like a level out of Castlevania, to be honest. And really, if you look at this level, this is the last place that a kid needs to be. They got these toxic fart bubbles popping up everywhere. Alligators. They got alligators in the sewer? Well, there's one urban legend solved. And apparently this sewer happens to be filled with deadly toxic waste. I half expect the Toxic Avenger to pop out next. So you fart around in the sewers for a little while, and eventually you come to the next boss, which is... Big fish. It's not in the movie, though. Whatever. You beat this fish, and then you go on to the next set of levels, which takes place in the woods. And other than the Wilson's house, I'd say this is probably one of the closest levels to actually mimicking the game, being that there are a large quantity of scenes from the movie that take place in the woods. And after you're done f***ing around in the woods, you finally, thank God, come to the final boss of the game. Now in the movie, the main villain was Christopher Lloyd, playing this kind of thuggish, rugged-looking robber guy. So naturally, Christopher Lloyd's character from the movie has to be the final boss in the game, isn't it? What the hell is that? Where do I even begin with what is wrong with this level? First of all, Christopher Lloyd's character from the Dennis the Menace movie went by the name Switchblade Sam. He was rugged, edgy, and had a threatening nature to him.
Yeah. The only reason I ain't moving on is because you stopped to give me the breeze.
This guy, he looks more like the illegitimate child of Gene Wilder and Freddy Krueger. And what is up with him throwing apples at Dennis? I mean, yeah, there's a scene in the movie where he eats an apple, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's his trademark. I mean, the guy's name is Switchblade Sam. And yes, I know it would be kind of messed up to have him throwing knives at a kid in a children's game, but I'm just saying, man, you can do a little bit better. How did he go from Switchblade Sam to frickin' Johnny Appleseed? Kind of makes you wonder what Christopher Lloyd would say if he could see this abomination of video game pixelation. I'm gonna go with that. Here's something else I'm gonna be a little anal about. Why in the hell is Joey and Margaret tied to a tree? Never happened in the movie. In the movie, the only one Switchblade Sam took was Dennis. So wouldn't it make more sense if it was just Dennis trying to escape Sam? That wouldn't have been too hard to program. You didn't have to throw two other characters in it. And also, why does Joey look like he's Asian? I don't know. Let's just skip to the end. As far as the end of the game goes, I really hope you weren't expecting something big and climactic, because all you ever get is the three characters standing there while Dennis walks by, dragging Switchblade Sam on the back of his wagon. Which, yes, is kind of similar to the movie, except the damn dog wasn't the one dragging him. I hate this game! And then the credits roll and it's over. So, Dennis the Menace on the Super Nintendo. I'm glad I never beat it. Nothing about this game says anything about the movie, and then the parts that do say something about the movie screw it up so badly that it's not even funny. I mean, I know the old saying that movie tie-in games usually suck, but it's hard to call this game a movie tie-in game, especially when it barely has anything to do with the freaking movie. I don't know what I'm complaining about, though. I mean, it's over. Okay, it's over. I know how the game ends. Problem solved, right? Well, thanks for joining me on this edition of the Danger Zone. And thank you, comic strip critic, for doing all the research that I was too lazy to do.
Oh, absolutely, my good friend. Take care.
Quite. I'm Danny South. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time right here on the Danger Zone.